session, that is Best Practices in E-Governance. We begin with inviting Shri Naveen Agrawal, Head Government Services, KPMG. May we please have Shri Naveen Agrawal on the stage. I next request Shri Amod Kumar, Technical Advisor to the Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Uttar Pradesh, to please come up. We also have with us Shri Virendra Singh, the Director, IT Department, Government of Maharashtra, to speak in the session. Shri Virendra Singh, Director, IT Department, Government of Maharashtra. We also have Shri Anup Singh, Special Secretary, Information Technology and Communications Department, Government of Andhra Pradesh. For some reasons, it has not been possible for Shri Anup Singh to be with us. I next invite Shri Shibu Paul, Country Head, Array Networks, on the stage. Shri Shibu Paul, can we please have you on the stage? I think they will be joining us later. And I next invite Shri Subrata Das, Director, India and Sri Lanka Government Business, SAP or SAP. I next take the opportunity of calling on stage Shri Vineet Kshirsagar, Group Head Government Business, Oracle. Shri Vineet Kshirsagar. And we have, last but certainly not the least, Shri Prashant Chaudhary, who is the Director, Government CA Technologies. Shri Prashant Chaudhary. I request you to please put your hands together for all our esteemed panelists who will be talking about the best practices in e-governance. The chair for this session will be Shri Amod Kumar, who is the Technical Advisor to Honorable CM, Government of UP. And with the due permission of the chair, I hand over the moderation to Shri Naveen Agrawal. But before I leave the mic, I request Shri Amod Kumar to please come up for the keynote address.
I think in a session there is no keynote address as such. We discuss things. Okay. This session is about e-governance, and I thought all of us would be discussing what is being done in e-governance, what can be done in e-governance, and what we can learn from each other in e-governance. I am in this field of e-governance, or so to say interacting with other people in e-governance and trying to do something in the field of e-governance, I think for the last around 10 years. And many faces here are familiar. There are a lot of things which has changed in these 10 years. And today I think if all of us sitting there discuss about e-governance, I think the time which has been allocated to this session would be very short. This was not the case 10 years back. 10 years back, the scenario was we were trying to do something, we were facing resistance, computerization and power of e-governance was not yet fully established. But in the last 10 years, a lot has happened. Today, I do not think that people in the government need to convince their seniors or need to convince their subordinates about why we should do it. Today, the discussions are more around how. This is the change which has happened in the last 10 years, which I see. Earlier, we had to convince people and people were doubtful. Oh, it looks very fancy, it is very good and technically very sound. But I don't think it will have any practical uses or will be able to implement it or it will bring any real benefit to the citizen. And we had to face the arguments like कि जब लोगों के पास पीने को पानी नहीं है, चलने के लिए सड़क नहीं है, बिजली है नहीं, आप क्या फालतू की इम्प्रैक्टिकल बात कर रहे हैं. These are the things which we have, many people in this room have dealt with. But now we do not face such things. Actually, now the challenges are more around how. That's one thing which has changed. The other thing which I feel has changed is mobile. Now I think any e-governance solution which does not have a mobile interface will not work. Or if it works, it will not serve the purpose, because to the end client, until and unless, no matter how much you do inside, until and unless the end client is benefited, your success will be very limited. So the other game changer, so to say, is mobile. Whether it is IVRS systems, whether it is SMS based systems, and I think you all know that most of the internet access in the country is being done through mobile rather than the PCs or laptops. So in that sense, if you have any solution, its mobile interface is must, SMS interface is must. The third thing the change which I find today in the field of e-governance is Hindi or the local languages. Now, if your solution is not in local language, then it is not a robust e-governance solution. Many state governments, in fact most state governments, work in their local languages. Citizens understand local language. So if your solution is only in English, that will also not work. So I think these are a few changes which I feel which has taken place. Other things, I think I can briefly give you many of the things which have been done in UP in the field of e-governance. There have been many players who, despite the reputation of UP outside UP, have been courageous enough to come to UP and work, and all those people have realized that UP is not as bad as its reputation outside, or rather much better, and in much better in many respects than other states. The major impact, I think, which has come to citizens, at least I'll briefly share with you what's happening in UP, and because I cannot give you the details, but generally things which have impacted the citizen the most. And when I say citizen, my order of hierarchy starts from the poorest. So if you go by that hierarchy, I think the e-governance solution in UP which has impacted most is the revenue department, whether it is land records computerization, whether it is revenue court computerization, whether it is computerization and verification, online verification of all certificates, because that impacts the most citizens and the poorest citizens. The other solution which has impacted most the citizens in UP is SSDG portal, and there have been 15 million, 1.5 crore beneficiaries from that portal in the last 1.5 years. And those beneficiaries are not English speaking urban people. These are rural area villagers whom we want to develop, who are essential to be targeted to reduce the disparity. And if these 1.5 million people have been benefited, any of you can do a study how much on an average would have been saved on bribes, and how many crores of rupees in bribes would have been saved. I think that's some study needs to be done. I wouldn't say that in these 1.5 crore transactions there wouldn't have been any bribe. There would still be. But the quantum and the number would be much less. Then of course in the many states, there are 2 days people are here, there will be many things. In UP, one other landmark thing which has impacted the citizens most is about scholarships. Central government is talking about DBT, but I think UP did DBT 5 years back, at least when in the field of scholarships. In the case of fee reimbursement, UP is the leader in post-matric scholarships in fee reimbursement to the students in the engineering colleges, medical colleges. We have about 700 engineering colleges and higher institutions to reimburse the fees. I think that is where we are a leader. Then, of course, there have been some very good innovative efforts which deal in agriculture sector, especially in Gonda district. And I think now that is being upscaled in whole UP about e-Kisan, where the fertilizer management, agriculture implements, and there are about 6 services. Gas distribution, that too in rural area. There is then, of course, smart card in the transport department or the vehicle tax deposition. I think that definitely benefits more urban citizens, so that will come lower in hierarchy. Another very, very highly citizen-centric and poor citizen-centric is the sugarcane information system in UP, which has impacted all the sugarcane farmers in the state, and their system is so beautiful. They were even awarded with the Prime Minister's Award, I think this year or last year, and they have got many awards. But UP is many of you may not know, UP and Maharashtra compete with each other as #1 state for sugar production and sugarcane production. And its economy, sugar economy is, I think, is a major part of UP's economy. So that sugarcane information system has benefited all the farmers very much. Then I think there are many more solutions, whether it is deployment of home guards by computerization, whether it is midday meal, in the midday meal collection of data through IVRS, whether it is e-district scheme in UP, whether it is geo issuance from the website, whether it is engineering colleges affiliation online, whether it is transfer, recruitment, postings of the teachers online. I think then there is HMIS, MCTS in the health sector. There are call centers in almost all, I will not say all, but at least half of the departments, they are citizen-centric call centers. Food and civil supplies, you can see all the ration card holders' names and details online. There is an SMS facility we have tried to learn as much we can from Chhattisgarh. In Narega also we have tried to do, because Narega is also again citizen-centric. I think that is again one change. 10 years back you had to look for departments where e-governance was implemented or something was done. Today I think you have to look for departments where it has not been done. I think that is one major paradigm shift which has taken place in 10 years. I think I'll not take much time and I'll request the moderator.
Thank you, Amodji, and very good evening to all of you. In fact, it's really, when I was looking at the panel, it really feels good. It's a fantastic mix of people who are coming from various sides of this industry. We have people, coming from the government. We have people like me who are from the consulting side, and we have people who are from the technology and infrastructure side. So hopefully next 30 to 35 minutes, you'll be able to gain some insights in terms of what's happening in the e-governance space. I was listening to some of the speakers since morning, and one of the things which occurred to me that I've been coming to Lucknow for last few years now. So this may be my 15th or 16th visit to the city. And one thing which I have realized is that the way the city and the state has changed in terms of adopting to technology and having e-governance as part of their way of working, I think is quite significant. More so, I think in last 24 to 26 months, we have seen huge amount of new initiatives, large number of initiatives which the state has taken. And in fact, morning session, those who were there would have heard about this laptop project. So we feel very proud to be part of that, because it's a completely different kind of engagement, I would say, at that scale. And I think somebody also mentioned that it's the largest, right? It's the biggest procurement in the world, right? So 15 lakhs laptop, and then we are not stopping here. We are talking about taking it to the next phase, right? So it is really a significant, I would say, learning for us also and my team to be part of some of those initiatives. So obviously, Amod ji mentioned about some of those e-governance projects which the state is doing. One of the things, you mentioned about 1.5 crore transactions, and I think I was reading somewhere it says that I think you're the fastest state to reach 1 crore. So in terms of taking it to that level, so I think that way it shows significantly in this August 2012 to maybe November, almost 16 months, you have reached that target of 1 crore, which is really quite significant. Many of the states are talking about DBT. Many of the states are talking about, having e-scholarships. Many of the states are talking about, all those RTOs and various kind of projects. Thankfully, UP, they have all these kind of in place. Now, talking about various e-governance initiatives, we have Virender Singh ji, who has come all the way from Mumbai. And I think last year in one of the award ceremony, I was talking to Rajesh Agrawal, who is the secretary, and he mentioned that we have close to 60 odd awards in this space. And today when I was talking to him, he said that number has gone beyond 200, right? So I think, nothing better than someone like him to talk about what are the best practices in e-governance. So may I request Virender Singh ji to talk about, what has been your journey on the e-governance and Maharashtra as a state.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, I am thankful to you all for providing me this opportunity to come and talk to you on this occasion. Maharashtra per se has been recognized as a leader in e-governance. And yes, we have awards and recognitions which we are in process of counting, because they exceed numbers which will be unbelievable. This year also, in few of the ceremonies, Maharashtra has been by far the most awarded state. When we talk about innovations, I will just briefly touch upon the points which would be new, because we have heard various speakers talking on various issues. Maharashtra has excelled in citizen-centric services, and we have over 35,000 e-Seva Kendras which are delivering various kinds of G2C as well as B2C services across the state. In e-district, we have launched about 16 services which Government of India has mandated on all the states, and by December end we'll be launching all the 33 services in very standardized and simplified formats. And what we are doing new is that we are coming up with smart forms. Like whatever details you are filling up, it will obviate any other errors which can creep in unknowingly while filling up the information. Also, we are doing away with submission of the forms or submission of the records again and again by the citizens. Once you submit a kind of record, it will go into the repository and you can retrieve it from there. Now that is business process re-engineering that we have taken up on a huge scale. Now people are talking about e-transactions. Now generally we talk about e-transactions as electronic transactions. We are moving on to eliminated transactions, that in case suppose we do not have this particular transaction, will it really affect people? Benefit them or adversely affect them? Recently, we have done away with the affidavits. Government of Maharashtra per se does not ask its citizens to submit affidavits to take any kind of certificates. Now, if we talk about the background of affidavits, it's very, very clear that during British regime, people or the government did not trust its citizens, and they would run pillar to post to get affidavits done and get it certified from gazetted officers and all. We just take an undertaking from our citizens that whatever I have said is correct and true to the best of my knowledge. And we have done away with affidavits. A GR was issued in this regard recently. And so our e-transactions, which are measured on e-Tal, will come down as far as affidavits are concerned. But our eliminated transactions count is going up daily. And citizens are very happy about it. Also, we are ensuring that various databases should be talking effectively with each other so that deduplicating databases as well as kind of submitting any kind of wrong information becomes impossible. It is just to give an example, if we are taking BPL database, wherein a person submits his income to be X. However, if we go on to his electricity billing and he is paying an electricity bill of 2,000 or 4,000 per month, per se he cannot be BPL. So again, the database is talking to each other, deduplication will automatically occur, and bogus beneficiaries will be rooted out. So Government of Maharashtra is actually doing a lot of innovations as far as giving effective services to citizens are concerned. In capacity building, we have come out with a new concept of virtual cadre of IT. Now this virtual cadre, what it will do is, it identifies the best in the existing staff. We select them through a rigorous process of examination, interviews, and finally they are trained. And we give them about 10% of basic extra salary to be the e-champions in that particular department. So per se, we also save on the government or the exchequer's money as far as creating a total dedicated IT cadre is concerned, and we have e-champions who are working for the IT in each department in a very effective manner. So this has recently been launched, and we declared the first batch of 6 candidates selected about 15 days back. So this is one new concept Government of Maharashtra has come up with. We are carrying out third-party audits of almost all the IT interventions that have been undertaken in the state to understand that what has been the impact and effect and whether they are functioning the way they should have been. So this TPA has been per se largely appreciated across the board, and now various states are adopting the changes which or the innovations which Government of Maharashtra is doing. When we are delivering services, back-end office automation and transparency in governance is one thing which always takes a front seat when we have to deliver the services and we have to keep the records effectively. Government of Maharashtra has probably undertaken the largest intervention in the history of office automations, in which we are almost doing away with paper in most of the government offices. It is that we are implementing e-office across the state, starting from Mantralaya to all the districts, to Jilla Parishads, to PSUs and semi-government bodies. A case in point was Sindhudurg e-office, which I could implement while I was collector there. It is the only model of its kind, and it's worth visiting. The entire revenue administration functions in a paperless manner. We just do not use paper in that district as far as revenue working is concerned. The offices which you will see will be unbelievable, and the office automation solutions of any kind would per se fall short as far as efficiency and effectiveness is concerned if we compare it with the e-office model of Sindhudurg. Now it is a national model wherein we have carried out almost business process re-engineering of almost 1900 revenue processes, defining them in adequate about 10 steps, which covers anything that process needs to be addressed by a concerned employee, per se not needing training. And the same model we are replicating across the state. Mantralaya, of course, all 40 departments have taken it up, and we are progressing in an effective manner to go paperless in our Mantralaya itself. Now, another big intervention which has come handy to the people is employment, self-employment model which Government of Maharashtra has adopted. Now, we have a centralized, registered database of each and every person who registers with the ITI or who has some skill set with him. And this skill set, through this portal, we are also monitoring the skill upgradation and the Entrepreneurship Development Program also. If you really want to know that whether there is a plumber around in your area, you have to just go to the portal, go to the maps, and what is the skill set you need, and it will tell you that how many plumbers are registered around that particular place. The employment exchange has been totally decentralized. You can go to any Mahi Seva Kendra, register yourself, and the data will automatically be picked up. You can map the resources near you. Also, we have liaised with some industrial leaders wherein whatever training we are given, the government and the concerned industry leader, they give a certificate jointly to the person. A case in point, say, suppose we take an example of hospitality services. Now, if Taj Group of Hotels is signing a certificate along with government, that person would per se get employment anywhere. So this is a model which government of Maharashtra is recently adopting, and it is going to be a huge success, and it is receiving appreciation from all over. We have fully electronized the admissions to the ITIs. All admissions per se, all courses, admissions run online. Recently we have done away with manual examination systems, and MPSC also. The first phase of examination system is totally online, wherein you register online, you fill all your forms inside, online, and you even get a hall ticket online. Maharashtra has also done complete automation of its treasury, probably one of its own kind. Our treasury is totally checkless. About 97 to 98% of the transactions that happen across the state are through RTGS and NEFT. We are graduating now to single hop payments, wherein the payment directly from the treasury would go to the beneficiary's account without any intermediaries. And this would be done by use of Aadhaar payment bridge. Our own department, that is Department of IT, was the first department probably in the country wherein we used APB and we pay our salaries through APBs. There are no bank accounts sought. It is just marked across to your Aadhaar number, and your salary is it's credited to your account. Our excise, sales tax department, IGR, that is stamps and registration, have gone totally electronic, and there are per se no manual processes left. More than about 50,000 crores of sales tax revenue is collected online. And it's a classical this thing that if you just follow the money trail, that how money comes into the treasury and how it goes out, and if you automate it, most of the things are taken care of, and transparency generated is immense. Just a case in point, we have just now implemented a Shalat project, that is all high secondary school teachers. We are giving our salaries online directly from the treasuries. Maharashtra has a different model of higher secondary education, and by adopting this Shalat method of payment, in about 6 districts where we carried out pilots, we have saved few crores of revenue every month. Land record digitization also, Maharashtra has done exceedingly well. We are the first state in the country wherein all patwari or talati or whatever the terms which we use for the ground village level revenue functionary, the offices are totally automized and they are on laptops. Each patwari carries his laptop, and entire office of his is on his laptop without any kind of any transaction taking place. All other forms, about 21 of them, they got auto updated, and it is the e-Chavadi module that has been implemented across the state. The pilot has been successful and now it is being replicated. Record room digitization has been taken up in a big way, wherein we have done away with the classical record keeping system, and now we are keeping it electronically with total indexing of the records. UID also, Maharashtra is the state which has second highest enrollments, which is shown on the portal. However, we are claiming that we are actually the highest enrolling state because we have enrolled about 8.75 crores of our population against 11.27 crores. Almost 80% of it is enrolled. As far as innovations are concerned, we have established about 500 plus permanent UID centers, and we are in process of establishing 2,000 permanent UID centers, wherein the state has bought 2,000 UID kits and they are being employed across the state with the help of CSC SPV. We have recently launched Aadhaar at your doorstep, wherein people who cannot come to a center, the government is going to their doorstep and doing their registration. We have our dedicated state resident data hub and an updated and usable state resident data hub. We are cleaning the databases, and we are also seeding the entire beneficiary related schemes to the UID data, and it is being centrally done. We have also gone a big way towards Aadhaar payment bridge and Aadhaar linked salaries. Also, few more things. If we take the progress of the IT in the future, we all know that eventually our daily working or life is going to get limited to 3 screens: your mobile or iPad screens, your computer screen, and when you go back, your TV screen at home. And it's a truth which is actually coming across. So now we are going in a big way for our mobile applications. Few of them have just been, one of this is mobile application on the government resolutions or the government orders, which has been recently launched, and it has become a huge success. We are also coming on mobile applications of Maha News, mobile applications on accessibility, that if a person wants to know, a disabled person wants to know that what are the hotels or restaurants or hospital or anything which is disabled friendly, he just has to use that mobile applications and he will be able to know it. Maharashtra has also made a good use of social media, be it Facebook or YouTube, etc., for making this IT related interventions reach the public. And because of that, today whatever interventions we are doing, each person who is a bit IT savvy and uses any kind of social media knows that what is the latest which is coming from Government of Maharashtra. Few other projects which are there are online ticketing for the national parks. You can book everything starting from ticket to an accommodation near the national parks online. Best buses, our MSRTC is being fully computerized. People have handheld machines, the tickets are given, and the revenue collected back end, it is accounted on a daily basis. So if we talk about interventions which Maharashtra is undertaking, I can go on and on and on, but seeing the paucity of time and the limited time that has been allotted to this panel, I will just say that yes, you can come and visit us, and you will notice that what we are doing today will lead the country in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Virendra Singh ji. In fact, I just got to know that we have some extra time, so if you want to go a few minutes beyond your 5-6 minutes, you can go for it. But one thing, which I must say, and maybe with a lot of confidence, because I stay in Mumbai and Maharashtra is my home state. I have seen a lot of these things, actually happening on ground. In addition to like what he mentioned, there are a few very, I would say, unique initiatives which the state has taken. And I thought it's quite apt to talk about some of those here, because that will really give this forum some ideas in terms of, how some of these things can be implemented. First thing first, I realized like Maharashtra a couple of years back, and thanks to the visionary of Mr. Rajesh Agrawal, who is the secretary there, the fact that he said, let's create because I think one of the forums somebody mentioned about lack of competency and lack of skilled workforce, right? And that particularly when you talk about IT, it is relatively okay, but if you talk about e-governance, it is relatively very tough. So what he did, he actually sort of created a curriculum, and there are exams which are happening. These are online exams. So those who want to work in the state of Maharashtra in field of e-governance actually have to go through those exams, right? One, it actually, sort of gives them a chance to have the trained workforce, and then obviously it creates a lot of awareness. That's one good initiative. Obviously, it puts people like us in trouble because our team has to go through those exams and pass and then only get, make themselves eligible. But I thought it's a good initiative. Second thing, which I think is a perennial problem with most of these states in terms of implementation. We have we are working with the state here in terms of not only drafting the IT policy, but implementing the IT policy across the state, right? Similarly, I think majority of these e-governance initiative, they don't go beyond a point because there is no implementation mechanism. You will have the workforce, but you'll not have, a implementation plan to do that. What Maharashtra has done, in terms of having an implementation team which is associated with each of these departments, right? Like, obviously, there are many of these states who will do it for home and health and education and so on and so forth. But they've actually gone to the complete array of all other departments, whether it's tribal, forest, social welfare, cooperative, marketing, virtually everything. And the job of people who are associated with that is not only to sort of work with the departments, but actually visit the district level places, right? And that initiative is directly driven by the chief secretary, right? So I think once in a month or once in a, I think couple of months, he actually sort of does a video conferencing with all the people, all the consultants and the people associated who are responsible for the district level implementation. Now that is forcing people, not only at the Mantralaya or at the secretariat level to sort of go for it, but also do the implementation at the state. So I thought maybe in addition to what he said, it was important to talk about, because these are some of the best practices which definitely state like UP can look at. You're doing it in some of the cases, but maybe it could be a good learning from the state perspective, right? Moving on, we have Subrata here. Subrata is the head of government business for SAP, a known name in the government fraternity, I would say. He'll share in terms of what are his learnings and his experience based on various projects taken up by SAP.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon. Now, there are a few observations that I'll make, which are pretty general by nature, but ones that are defining the way e-governance applications or e-governance standards are evolving over a period of time. Hitherto, what has happened in the e-governance application is that we build systems of record, systems which capture transactions and are inward-looking, meaning that they are mostly oriented towards automation of the department, automation of the processes which were there. What is the next level? The next level typically lies with participative decision making, wherein you are essentially communicating with the constituents that you serve, which is the citizens. And a whole new design thinking philosophy is emerging out of the practice because of certain other technologies which are also coming up, like cloud, big data, mobility, which are now affecting the way we are infusing information and communication technology into e-governance applications. So typically, if you see, these are the three large areas where, the government will have to reorient their applications to ensure that they ride the bandwagon or the reach or the advantages or leverages the technology that mobility, cloud, and big data, provides them. But I'm not going to leave it there. Let us also understand what these are. If you look at the tele-density of India, we are looking at almost 80-85% of the population being covered by mobile devices. Okay, a piece of statistic doesn't mean that 85% out of, the Indian population have mobile phones, but those are the amount of SIM cards that has been sold. Now, it presents a huge potential for e-governance applications to ride on this wave. One, because one of the issues of accessibility in rural villages is addressed by that, which is about driving the applications across to, citizens who would interact with them, driving citizen services on mobile, which is one. But also from the government's operations perspective, mobility is being used and will be used more frequently going forward. Say for example, in the area of, let's say, irrigation. Now typically what would happen, there would be irrigation officers who would go to different rivers, tributaries, distributaries, measure their, water levels, and then report back to the district headquarters or the state headquarters. Now this is a process which still happens today and takes time. If this can be on mobile devices where they can take the readings and send it up on real time across to, the state headquarters, then people who are manning the operations at the state irrigation departments can get this information and can take preventive action if there needs to be one. One innovative example, and again I have to come back to Maharashtra, of what we've done with respect to mobility is use it in a very innovative manner in the area of tree census. Now the Department of Environment and Forest has put a diktat on the urban local bodies to keep account of the green cover in that particular urban geographical area. So what people traditionally used to do is that they used to typically go out, photograph the trees, note down its species, note down its height, so on and so forth. Nobody actually mapped the tree throughout its life cycle. Nobody knew where the tree exactly was because there was no geotagging or geolocation possibilities which emerged. And most of them wouldn't even go to find out what is the status of the tree. So the first step was, nowadays we have these smartphones which have cameras. We will go take those mobile phones, we will capture the pictures of the trees, and we will also capture the details with regards to species, with regards to growth, with regards to any plant pathology symptoms that may be there. We did that, but we still saw that there was ways and means of circumventing this innovative piece. What was happening is that once the picture was there, it was downloaded onto the hard disk, and every time a surveyor had to send his data, he would upload it from his hard disk and send it back. So what we did was, we started geotagging this particular application, meaning that the application will only spawn on his mobile device when he is near the geolocation of the tree. That means per force, he will have to go near the tree, take the fresh photograph and upload it. So this was one of the innovations that we did for Pune Municipal Corporation. Again, on to some of the other areas, like say for example, social engineering. Everybody seems to be on Facebook, Twitter. And then I also talked about participative decision making. Some people may call it demand side governance, where you involve the populace in general to understand their feedback, understand the sentiment, and tune and slice and dice your policies to look at the public sentiment and act likewise. So a whole discipline of social engineering and and social media is evolving around this particular area. And we have something called social media analytics on the cloud, which is being used very beautifully in this kind of time and date where elections are around the corner and we want to know which part of the population is going which side. And but we see a huge amount of potential because we see the police department, we see the municipal corporations having social media presence, and there are a lot of posts which are happening, lot of interactions which are happening on those social media which need to be captured. They need to be understood for what they are, and then also do or take certain decisions to ensure that if things are not going the way it should, they're set right. I take the example of, I can't take the examples of Indian names because we are on a non-disclosure agreement with them, but take the example of the city of Boston. The city of Boston's mayor, so typically the mayoral candidates also go to the Senate and also onto the presidential office. They have a set of key performance indicators to go by. And these key performance indicators have to be stated to the citizens. on a real-time basis. And the citizens comment. And then he has to understand where the bottlenecks are and take preventive action. So there also social media analytics as well as KPI-based performance dashboards, which is on the analytics side, is coming of great use. And this can be driven on mobile devices as well, and they are being driven on mobile devices. The last area which I left, in India, of course, in terms of cloud, let me also take the example of two projects that we have done, very innovative projects. We went down to the Sarpanch's office in Soda village in Rajasthan, and we automated the entire application. So it was a CSR job. So we went and built the application for the Sarpanch's office, which is the easier part of the story. Now you do realize that a software grant would also mean that it needs a matching grant in terms of, let's say, annual maintenance contract. The Sarpanch's office, this was a lady who had a corporate background but came back to serve the village. They needed, servers, they needed manpower. So now how do you provide that? We thought about it quite a lot, and then we said that, okay, we will drive it on the cloud for them. So what is happening is that we are driving it on the cloud. The Sarpanch's office just has to log in using a 2G dongle, and they can do their transactions on the applications, and in the end they can close their notebook or PC and then go back. This we have also replicated in Maulai village in Meghalaya, in the Sarpanch simile in their district. And this is actually quite a good example of how the cloud as a medium of consumption as well as delivery is going to affect the way e-governance applications are going to get delivered. And we know that the government of India has something known as the Meghraj, which is the cloud policy. And a lot of states are also going in for a state data center, which is based on clouds. They're building applications which can be driven on the cloud. They are re-architecting their existing solutions so that they can be on the cloud. What it does, it frees up a lot of resources, monetary or otherwise, and lets the department concentrate on their core competences, which is in the area of governance. Last but not the least, let me get into the area of big data. Now, big data is another jargon by the IT community, or is it? I mean, over the last, I've been in this particular industry since, 1992, and I've seen the e-governance grow in this country. And right from 2002 to 2003, and some of the departments much before that, like Central Board of Direct Taxes, Excise and Customs, so on and so forth. But most of the applications at the state level actually took off around 2001, 2002 and beyond. They have generated a huge amount of data. And within that data lies actionable information. And bureaucrats like the ones here would want that actionable piece of information. The problem is you just can't put an analytics layer on top, make a normal SQL query and get that. Because the data is in exabytes and petabytes. And if you fire a query, it will take you 3-4 days for the results to come. So huge amount of development work, huge amount of research is going into in-memory. And there we have a product which is called HANA, which is again getting used to churn this data almost 1,000 times faster than what traditional systems can. What are the use cases in government? I can understand from a telecom segment, somebody wants to understand customer churn, or from the retail segment, somebody wants to know why diapers and beer bottles are selling more on Fridays. But this is government, this is to do with citizens. Emergency and disaster is emerging as a huge discipline within the governance process. And we have seen the Uttarakhand disaster, we've seen other man-made disasters in the past. And the response of the government machinery, for whatever it's worth, has been a little slow. The government has taken steps to set up a National Disaster Management Agency. Each one of the states is setting up a State Disaster Management Agency as well as a State Disaster Relief Force. What it needs is an incident management system. And this incident management system, unfortunately, has to handle big data. because you got data coming in streams in exabytes and petabytes from Met department, from Intel reports, from transactional systems. They have to be interpreted. The net threat perception has to be shown on real time then and there, and it has to be broadcast to the people right up to the village taluk level for people to take necessary action. So emergency and disaster management, real-time situational awareness, these are some of the areas where big data can get used, apart from actionable information. So I think I've covered most of the biggest of the three technologies which are taking the IT industry by storm, as well as what is going to be the future of e-governance applications. Again, just before I leave the mic to my other colleagues on this panel, just wanted to mention that today, while we have thought about e-governance applications, and we've thought about citizen-centric applications, I quite like the point made by my previous speaker on actually making digital inclusion happen, extending digital inclusion into social sector, making citizen-centric applications for people with different abilities. There also SAP, has been very active. In fact, it has collaborated with, again, Xavier's Institute in Mumbai in building applications for people with visual difficulties so that they can navigate around the city. So I think there's going to be a time and place where we need to make the citizen-centric applications available to people with different abilities. So thank you once again for the chance given to me. I'll hand it over to the moderator.
Thanks, Subrata. In fact, you raised a very important point about the KPIs, and I think not only in Boston, but I think, in the Indian system also, we need to have a mechanism to have certain KPIs to measure.
So apart from build versus buy, when we talk about the applications and really the commercially off-the-shelf software being available, Oracle actually goes right from storage systems to servers, to middleware, databases, applications, analytics, BI, and all these kind of spaces. So we also operate as most multinational companies, we operated in, and let me possibly give you the public sector experience. In public sector, we've operated at federal, state, local level in countries like US, in Europe. We've operated in India. We're working with more than 20 state governments. We're working with across multiple ministries at a central level as well. So I kind of want to broaden the question to more what's been our learnings around these e-governance implementations or experiences. So I kind of categorize this into three different parts. One is really the infrastructure, right? And clearly with newer and newer technologies, newer and newer models emerging, and let me name a few. Cloud, and I think you touched upon cloud. Legacy systems which are in play in a lot of applications when it comes to government actually don't have a role. But really, the infrastructure should be modern so that these have a role to play, right? Or for that matter, security. Security needs to be integrated into this infrastructure because really if security is not integrated, you don't have a trusted system. And really your stakeholders will really not trust the whole ecosystem, right? So to me, one is really the infrastructure. Second is really around simplification of business processes, making them more efficient. And that's where we touch upon areas like grid computing or areas like virtualization. So these are the places where I think these areas become important so that you utilize the resources more and more effectively. And to me, having some sort of a services-oriented architecture or a services delivery architecture where you have a common data store, which, I mean, today if you take a lot of government implementations, you have partial records across multiple departments, right? So it's important to kind of bring in data stores which are common across departments or within departments or across departments in a state, right? So to me, that second area becomes very, very critical. And third, I think what you touched upon is really build versus buy. And the section where really the applications plays there, or the section where the analytics plays there, where it's important to bring in these sort of systems where accountability becomes important. And to me, again, I think, and that's a good debate of build versus buy, as to are there softwares which are already available? You're future-proofing your investment in technology or applications, where there are investments going in for the future, and you're building components, and I think my colleague would agree here, where you're building components and ensuring that the applications which have come out today serve you for the future as well, right? So I think these are three areas which I would build in. To summarize what's been our experience, I would kind of sum it up in what's the impact you're creating for the citizens and your stakeholders, right? And that possibly is the summary of our learning. And let me kind of quote a few instances for this. And I mean, like others, we also have certain non-disclosure pieces, but I thought I'll pick up a few where the accountability or impact becomes extremely critical in measuring these applications. So a few of them which come to my mind are really how we increase the payment revenue in AICTE by around 200% by putting in Oracle systems, right, or technology systems. Or for that matter, in government of Orissa, where we put in HR systems and really reached out to around 4.75 lakh employees. So that's the level of impact if we start measuring on applications. That becomes important. And that's a summary, I would say, diverse experience summarized in how do we create a larger impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet. I think that was really very useful. I think, in this entire thing, whenever we talk about e-governance, obviously, a lot of focus is given on the development side, whether it is the infrastructure development or the application development, and so on and so forth. I think one of the important parameter which I think need to be considered is what is the kind of experience which citizens or as a user who are using the systems they are having. And that's where, in fact, I would like to invite Shibu. I think you have a network product which helps in improving the user experience, right? So why don't you talk about that and maybe, your experience in terms of some of these examples.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor and privilege to be here. I think my panelist from the government gave you the importance of the prominence of deploying e-governance projects. So I think that I call it as the e-governance phase 1. My friends from Oracle and SAP spoke about applications and how it plays a very critical role in the e-governance projects. In the next 5 minutes that I would like to touch upon is a very important factor, a very important aspect, which is your user experience. Today, user experience is one of the most critical differentiation factor. To give you an example, what I can bring upon is competition in the mobile. Mobile is something that we all use, and we see a lot of competition there. Now, if you look at others versus Apple, which is the most successful company in the smartphone area, you will never find Apple talking about a quad-core processor or a 2 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM compared to the competition. So what does Apple focus on, or what is Apple working on? The fundamental thing that they're working on is on the user experience. To give a very brief example of how they have, what they have done in terms of user experiences, integration. What I mean by integration is, when 5S was launched as a product, there was a lot of articles saying that there is not, we don't know what is the RAM, there is not, there is no quad core. I mean, but what has Apple done? Apple is the first company to take a chip design architecture license. There's no other company, mobile company, which has taken a architecture license for chip, which means the architecture license is probably 10 times more expensive than that of a normal license. What have they done? They've actually taken the chip architecture and developed applications and a phone which is 100% focused on user experience. So what I am seeing in the market is that today when we are talking about e-governance or projects, people are more focused on user experience. How can I work with the users? Data, as many of us said, is, data is going to explode. To give you some data points, typically we have around 7 billion people on the earth, right? Which means 14 billion appliances or 14 billion connected IP devices. What is predicted is that, with the advent of, now we are moving into non-living devices which are computer enabled, like your cars, your phones, you name it, which are very intelligent devices. This could add up to close to around 60 billion devices, computing devices into the world. Which can generate data. When we are talking about big data, we are talking about, it is reality. Another example is when a Dreamliner, just to give an, since we bought a lot of Dreamliners in India, a Dreamliner, before it even takes off from the, parking to the runway, it generates close to 2 terabytes of data, and it is not even taken off. So data is going to be very huge. We're talking about devices, like we were covering that, internet population in India is less than 20%. But mobile population in India is more than 80%, the number of SIMs served. So it's all about going to be about user experience. We were working on a couple of projects. I will take one project which we were talking about as Treasury project. So we were doing this project in Karnataka for Government of Karnataka for the Treasury project. It was conceived, the application was very good, they deployed it. Now one of the huge challenges that they faced is that, you've deployed a application in the data center in Bangalore, but 80% of the region, 80% of the talukas which are going to access this data center is lying at very remote places where there is no connectivity or very abysmal connectivity. Now, how do we bring those people in? So, when I talk about the e-governance, the phase 2, now when we are doing projects in states like Andhra, states like Tamil Nadu, we are bringing in a technology called as WAN optimization, where we enable even the remotest of talukas to connect to the center, data center and the application so that they can deliver services in the remotest of places. Typically, array networks, from others, for those who, we work on application acceleration and optimization, which is a very, very critical component of any e-governance project. So, whether it is the UID project that we have worked on, whether it is financial inclusion project that we have worked on, our appliances play a very critical role at the back end, accelerating and providing this excellent user experience to the end customers. So I will throw upon the point that, the most, to my people from the government who are developing these e-governance projects, that giving a focus on the user experience will make a lot of difference in the success of the project. Thanks, Ravi.
Thank you, Shibu. Request to all of the panelists, if you have any comments on anything, and if you want to sort of give in your point of view, feel free to do that, because idea is to have a discussion around it and then maybe share your thoughts. Let me move on to our last panelist, definitely not the least, Prashant, who is from CA. And CA, we all know, definitely deals with the infrastructure, security, cloud, DevOps, all those kind of things. So Prashant, would you like to share the kind of work which you are doing in e-governance?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, my most experienced panelist over here. I think I'll just like to go a step back and I think refer to one of the points which Amotsa mentioned, that I think almost 8-10 years back, if somebody spoke about e-governance, and then I think it was really a big question mark and people were surprised that what is it. I'll just take maybe even a couple of years back when the infrastructure projects were coming up and we were talking about SWANs and we were talking about SDCs, and I remember being part of some of the panels. And somebody says, why do we really need such kind of IT infrastructure? Because there are no applications and there are no traffic happening at these environments. So why are we really building that up? If you remember the point which again I used to make that point of time, and I think a lot of people supported it is about building those highways. If you relate it to this example, it is like we are building that highway, the traffic will come. And I'm so happy to be part of this panel today, where today we are talking about that traffic. Today we are talking about those applications. Today we are talking about service delivery to the citizens. So end of the day, if we talk about any service delivery or the application which is in discussion, back at the back end, we are actually talking about some application running in some part of the data center, leveraging or being accessed through some of the IT infrastructure. So one of the context which I like to bring over here, and maybe my speech is more around that, is DevOps as the concept. So from development of a life cycle of this thing to primarily the complete operation part of it. And there are 3 C's which I look at around DevOps as the concept. The first one is where we talk about constraint in primarily doing a development of a particular application over there. So today, again, one of the points Mr. Virendra mentioned is, if 2 databases can talk to each other, it will be so easy for maybe a state to do a dedupe. Yeah, it will be so easy for a state to do a dedupe over there. But do we have that application ready which the 2 states can actually, the 2 databases can talk to each other? Why the challenge is because either one of the application is not available, or the IT infrastructure which we are talking about, maybe the platform, maybe the service, maybe the environment is not available to do the application development when a legacy application or a third-party application is in picture. So can we really look at how do we mitigate the risk or the environment which is depending on third-party and take away the constraint on doing a application development perspective? So that's primarily the first C which primarily is in picture. The second C which primarily talking about is continuous application delivery. So can we really look at the challenges what most of the government organization or department face today? That challenge is typically because most of the application rollout today is either manual, which is depending on people who write script at multiple stages of application development. The first stage is obviously the development part, then you move into testing, then you have a UAT, then you have pre-op, and then finally into a production environment. And also it is very time consuming. So you may talk about weeks before you can actually roll out a new application, or that can be new application, can be actually months. And we all know that we have faced, the government is facing that challenge. But even if you want to roll out a new version or sometimes even a new form to a particular application, it can really take weeks over there. So how can we really take care of this second C of continuous application rollout and do a complete release automation across all the applications which have been rolled down into the data center? The third C obviously relates to efficiency and the effectiveness of that application. So continuous application delivery. Can we really look at mechanism where each component of the application is also being looked at. Like one of my panelists mentioned that from an end user perspective, so do we have a mechanism to look at how end user experience is happening on any of the services he's trying to access, whether it's on his mobile, whether he's going to a particular kiosk or he's trying to access from his home, he should have a seamless experience to that particular application. At the same time, when we have set up infrastructure like data centers, do we have the right technology in data centers to monitor those critical applications, saying, do they understand where are the errors happening when a citizen is trying to access any of the service delivery? So these are the 3 C's which we should be really considering when we talk about DevSop. And this is the stage, and I'm so happy to be part of this journey where we have moved from just the setting up of IT infrastructure, which was SWANS and SDC. And today we are talking about the focus is more from citizen perspective, and the focus is definitely from application environment, saying, and how can we make it more user friendly to citizens and from a service delivery perspective. So that's it. Now we know it.
Thank you, Prashant. I think there is a constant change of program. So it's a tough job for the moderator to decide the pace. Right, so I was told we have another 5 to 7 minutes. So I want to leave it, first of all, a big round of applause to all the speakers, all the panelists. I think it was wonderful sharing of experience. Thank you. Any questions? I think this is a good opportunity to ask anything, quick couple of questions.
So what is the potential, IT majors are foreseeing, to collaborate or to integrate with those micro enterprises so that they can help them to first of all to encourage the entrepreneurs who are working in a very small, working with a very small organization. Secondly, it will also give a best practice platform to those micro organizations as well. So what is the potential these IT majors are foreseeing?
Obviously, I think, before I leave it open, I think in the previous session we heard that definitely there is a huge potential, but I leave it to, Subrata, you want to give a...
Well, I think I'll have to speak for the industry then. I think for the MSME sector, which is typically, there's a lot of impetus around this, and there are a lot of both capital, inputs, both, subsidies from the government, and as well as tax ops which are going into this particular segment. One has to realize that these are businesses which are taking off. They would need to adopt to certain best business practices, but overall they also would need to compete, if not at a global level, but at least primarily at the very primary stage at the local level. They will not have the wherewithals to have, accounting systems in place, procurement systems in place, manage their simple books of accounts. So I think, one, the government could look at creating a cloud infrastructure for the MSME so that the best business practices, automated or otherwise, could be driven on these. So that's something that I think there is a corner in MSME which still believes that it is a possibility wherein we could have a cloud app for the MSME sector. But if you look at the MSME sector as a whole, you will realize that it's a marketplace. And in the marketplace today, in a physical world, it's very difficult to reach out across to your customer and know where your potential customer exists. So creation of an e-marketplace is also something that can be done utilizing the products and services from the MSME segment, and also making them, members onto that platform so that they can collaborate, trade, and do commerce with each other. So these, I think from a technology standpoint, these are the two possibilities that I see very clearly. from a best practice perspective, from an IT intervention perspective. But more so from the point of view of training. I can only speak for industries which are in the IT domain. All the companies which are represented on the table today, I think have got their, quite a large amount of focus also on training the staff and building capacity within the workforce. And we will have to probably price our offerings in a slightly more attractive manner to build capacity within the MSME sector.
Thanks, Subrata. Any other questions? Anyone? Right. Okay, so thank you very much to everyone and to the panelists especially. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. I think it was a wonderful experience. Thanks a lot.
I request the panelists to please stay back. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating in this discussion and letting us know about the highlights of the issues discussed. There has to be the distribution of the mementos of honor for each of you present here. So I first of all would like to request Shri Naveen Agrawal, who's the Head Government Services KPMG, to please give away the memento of honor to our Chair, Shri Amod Kumar, Technical Advisor to Honorable CM, Government of UP. Please put your hands together. And I now request Shri Amod Kumar to please give away the mementos of honor. We start with Shri Naveen Agrawal, who is the Head Government Services KPMG and was also the moderator for the session. We next move on to Shri Virendra Singh, Director IT Department, Government of Maharashtra. Shri Amod Kumar presenting the memento of honor to Shri Virendra Singh. Next we have Shri Shibu Paul, who is the Country Head for Array Networks. Shri Amod Kumar presenting the memento of honor to Shri Shibu Paul. And next in line is Shri Subrata Das, who is the Director, India and Sri Lanka for Government Business, SAP or SAP. Shri Amod Kumar presenting the memento of honor to Shri Subrata Das. And we have Shri Vineet Shirsagar, who's the Group Head, Government Business, Oracle, being presented the memento of honor by Shri Amod Kumar. And last but certainly not the least, we have Shri Prashant Chaudhary, who's the Director, Government CA Technologies, being presented the memento of honor by Shri Amod Kumar. Thank you very much.